First down and 10 for the 13. Back to Daniel Jackson at quarterback. Low snap, rolls to the right side, throws up the back leg, and it's picked off again. It's Nolan Ewing who trots down the far sideline, dives to the end zone. It's a touchdown. Nolan Ewing, his third pick of the day, goes for 6 points. Jack Mullen under center in flex zone. Has the snap, 3-step drop, lobs it up, left side, Kevin Green, back in the end zone. He has it! Touchdown, Falcons! Arnold under center out of the flex zone. Gives out the Zach Dressler is here on the near side to the 30. Makes a cut in the middle to the 15, to the 10. Stumbling inside the 5, and he's hit to the end zone for a Falcon touchdown. What's up, everyone? Voice of the Friends Falcons, Pat Strathman, with you with another edition of the Friends Football Coaches Show on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. We are back at Walk-On Sports Bistreaux. Bye week, had a chance to get away for just a brief second, but we're back here. The TVs haven't gone anywhere. All the sports on the TVs. You got playoff baseball. You have college football, NFL. You name it, lots of exciting stuff taking place. And if you want to watch those games, no better place to catch on them right here at Walk-On Sports Bistreaux. Game day food with that southern twist, and boy, does it hit the spot. Walk-On Sports Bistreaux, the place to be, and the place to be to celebrate a Friends football win. And the Friends football team didn't get a win last week because Friends wasn't in action, but in some ways maybe it was a win on the bye week. We'll talk to head football coach Terry Harrison about that here in just a little bit. Friends coming out of the bye week, starting up Kessinger Division play as the Friends Falcons welcome the number 6 team in the country and the Southwestern Mound Builders at Adair Austin Stadium. 1 o'clock kick. Hope you can come on out and be a part of it. Should be a dandy of a football game. Well, Coach, it's funny. We sit here and we're like, oh, what do we want to do? You know, well, let's talk about the bye week because I know there's a lot of exciting stuff that happens in the bye week. But really, I think it is important to note what goes on in a bye week because you can have a couple different approaches. You can take the approach of let's continue to stay sharp and do as much as we possibly can. Let's continue to work our tails off. Let's do this. Let's do that. Or you could take it in a different way and go, you know what? You've seen me for the last X amount of weeks. I've seen you for the last X amount of weeks. It's probably best for us just to separate ourselves for just a brief moment, go and relax and enjoy yourselves. But keep in mind, still got to put in some work, but just kind of reset the mentality a little bit because as much as you talk about football season being a grind, yes, it's a physical grind, but mentally it can also be a grind as well. So let's go back to last week, the bye week. What exactly took place last week for Friends football?
Well, you know, for on the player side, not a lot. You know, we give those guys quite a bit of a break, which is good. I think, you know, in the past, you know, with the whole divisional play now, our schedule's maxed out. So I've never been a big bye week fan. Necessarily, and in the past we would always schedule non-conference games. So, for instance, last year we played Panhandle State. In previous years at other schools, we played anytime we had a bye week. We tried to play someone non-conference just to get another game in and expose our kids to people, you know, outside of the normal conference play. And so that's what we've always done in the past. And so, you know, it's unique this year because we have a full schedule and then there's the mandatory bye week. It was kind of like tough for me to think about how to handle it. And so, you know, we kind of just looked at where we are as a team. You know, we did bring our kids in early, so we began practice in July. So we've practiced about 2 weeks longer than everyone in our conference, if you count that. When our guys came in. And so for us, we decided to have very short and crisp practices. We went about, you know, an hour, maybe an hour 10 on Tuesday through Thursday. And then we gave our guys the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then today off. You know, normally for us, we come in on Sunday, review film from a game. Monday is an academic day anyway. So, you know, we really basically gave them 2 days off of what would be normal. But it was great. You know, our guys, we've texted a few of the guys that they're a little banged up, see how they're feeling, and they say they feel great. And, it's kind of a good deal. Like, I'm assuming there's kids on our team that wish we would have practiced, but that's what you want, right? You want your guys hungry to want more, anxious to get back on the field as opposed to dreading, going to practice every day. And so that's how we approached it. And then as a staff, we were able to, do whatever we called quality control work. We evaluated everything from the first 6 games, from offense, defense, obviously, all the way through every special teams, all those things, all the practice evals we do, just to make sure we're setting our guys up for success for this the divisional games that we have. And so it was really good for us in that regard, and then we focused big time on recruiting. And so it's it was kind of good for us to get a reset as far as that goes, to just kind of evaluate where we are as a program today. When you have a record, it's easy to look at 5-1 and say where you're at, but then, what could we look at behind the scenes and say, okay, how are we doing in all areas of the program, including academics, and working with Lisa Hibbs and using that tool that we have, our academic success coordinator, our kids on track, or all these things. And so it was good for me to step back and be able to do that, and understand that, hey, football's awesome. We got obviously a couple of good games that are coming up. We're excited about, but at the same time, if we win out, if we win a national championship here, but our kids aren't on track to graduate, we failed these kids miserably. So it was good for me to be able to step back and do that.
Well, surely you went out and did some pumpkin patch seeing and haunted house touring with the kiddos, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we missed that. We were going to do that Saturday, but we did not, So we it was good to be around the family. It's kind of funny, like our wives are, during the season on those weekends, they're used to kind of running the roost by themselves, and they, so I think I might have interrupted it more than I helped anything, so. But it was fun and cool to be around the kiddos and all that good stuff. So that was fun. Had a Nerf war battle with my son, and that sort of deal. So
that's what you need.
It was good. Yeah,
that's what you need. That's what you need. You wrap up the quality control work, offensively, defensively, special teams wise. I guess we can kind of go down the list and kind of take a look at what exactly you saw for the first 6 weeks offensively. A lot to like as you take a look at the statistical rankings across the board. You guys have had tremendous success in a total amount of yards. Rushing-wise, certainly that's the case. Kavonte Baker being one of the top dogs when it comes to rushing touchdowns, but I'm sure you're the first to probably point out, hey, we've had a bunch of turnovers. Probably need to clean that up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly, right. I think, I don't have it in front of me, but I think we're number 1 in total offense in the country right now. Obviously, rushing offense, touchdowns, yards per carry, blah, blah, blah. But we're also first in yards per completion, and the pass efficiency, which is always a goal, right? I want to be the most elite rushing team in the country, but we also want to complement that with, having the most yards per catch or completion, and then pass efficiency. So that was good. And then, like you mentioned, we're looking at, okay, when every drive we've had stalled, and we haven't had that many stall, this first half or the first 6 games, what caused that? And obviously turnovers were certainly a thing. And there were also just a couple of frustrating moments where it was busted assignments and things like that. So then you get to decide, okay, as a coach, is it worth carrying some of these things? Making sure that our kids are in a spot they understand how to block every possible front. And so it was really good. And evaluating our players, right? Are we, what are they good at? And are we setting these guys up, kind of whatever you want to call, teeing it up for the games that matter most to give this thing our best shot? Because, we tell the kids all the time, like coaches always tell you, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that. And everybody, I feel like everybody's coached something, T-ball, whatever. You coach something, it's always, you feel like, it's always you have to do this, you have to do this, and it feels like it's never good enough. And so for what we want to do as a program is, be able to say, hey, if we can improve these areas, attack divisional play is good. Just as hard as possible. If we address all of these flaws and we go give this thing our best shot, and we don't win our division, then that's good enough. And we just aren't there yet. But we certainly don't want to go into those games and not having to address some of our flaws, like we mentioned. And so that's kind of what I'm excited about, because we have a great plan for that, and our coaches have worked extremely hard, over the couple days of the bye week, just to make sure that we're giving these kids an opportunity to give it their best shot.
Head Coach Terry Harrison with the Friends Falcons here on the Friends Football Coaches Show on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. Friends and Southwestern, first game back coming out of the bye on Saturday at 1 o'clock at Adair Austin Stadium. This past week, I had a chance to go down and catch Kansas State and Oklahoma State. And I was up in the booth, I help out with the K-State Sports Network, and I was listening to Stan Weber, who's a longtime color analyst, does a terrific job for Kansas State. And the one thing that he noted, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, both coming up bye weeks. And the one thing he said right at the bat was, Coach Chris Kleiman said it as well, they were also concerned about Oklahoma State putting some new stuff in during bye weeks and then coming out guns a-blazing. And turns out they come out and run about 3 trick plays on the very first drive, and you're like, okay, that's exactly what they were worried about. I'm not going to ask you exactly what you do with the playbook and if you add some different wrinkles to it, but as the season progresses, naturally that's probably going to happen, but a bye week probably another good time to look at that and see what you can execute.
Yeah, no, certainly. I mean, you always want to look at things and, like, cheat plays or whatever you can get some points out of, and so – we practice those all the time, so we actually do that 10 minutes a day regardless of bye week or not. That's kind of – we have a period in practice where it's all these different funky formations and trick plays that no one's seen on film. Once we put one on film, we take that one out and add a new one. So there's no way to really – not giving any trade secrets away. We have a ton of them. I think we beat we're playing Southwestern. We actually beat them on a halfback pass. One of those things we practice all the time, a couple years ago to win the game. So those do pay off for you, and especially after bye weeks, those are some things we can revisit and show the kids, But I think more than anything, we've been in the conference long enough, and Coach Griffin at Southwestern, they do a fantastic job. We've had some epic battles with them over the years. Even last year at Friends, the first half was a very competitive first half, and it felt like one of those games we played them. But, they give us multiple fronts. They do a lot of stemming. So I'm assuming, we're going to get 3 or 4 different fronts from them. And so, that won't be a surprise to us. So then the question is, will they be able to, perform that really new fronts that they might throw us really well against something that we've practiced against since July. So that'll be a little bit of a thing. And then offensively, they do a really good job, and it's they're kind of a bizarre team to prepare for, just because there's little subtle differences game to game, and it's not the same offense week to week. You do get a different version of that, and so that's the thing you have to work through and try to do the best you can as far as preparing your kids for that, and then knowing that really this game most likely coming off of a 2-week prep will be a game of adjustments, and who can make the right adjustment sooner rather than later, and then obviously at halftime being able to adjust however that first half plays out will likely determine the outcome of the game if everything else is equal. So
well, flipping over to the defensive side, I know offensively it's probably pretty easy because you look at statistics and go, hey, this is all looking great. And defensively, there's so many different factors that you have to account for: sacks, tackles for loss. You look at yardage and stuff like that, and it's all it takes is just one bad game, and it can change things. So there's a lot of different things that you could do. But defensively, as you take a look inward and look at the quality controlled stuff defensively, what really stands out to you through the first 6?
Well, a couple of things. We're number 1 in the country, so across all the NEI in tackles for loss, which is a goal. We want to be a team that gets negative plays. And then when you break it down to the conference, we're top half in almost everything. I think we're number 3 in points per game allowed, which is good, right? That's where you want to be in the top half, top 3, whatever. Number 1, is the goal. But if you look at it, we've played some weird games, and so in the past, when you have – we've been so explosive on offense as far as explosive plays and scoring points. They've been on the field more than us, so the defense has played more than us. It hasn't necessarily been the same type of complementary football that we're used to, where we own time of possession and they defend less snaps, and that's been very bizarre. And I think some of that, we've talked to it before. For whatever reason, when we've gotten up in some of our first 6 games, teams down 2 and 3 scores just continue to run the ball, and so they've owned time of possession because they're in the scenario. It sure seems like they're going to take some shots, and they never do. And so that's kind of been really weird the first half, and kind of hard to evaluate outside of when we look at where have we been. And I think we're number 1 in the conference for sure, and in the country in passing, defending passes. Some of that is we just have defended more runs, and we haven't seen as many balls in the air. But also, it's just been our guys have been on the field a long time. So our hope is the weirdest part, you never know and given those same 6 games, same scores, same scenarios, maybe that thing flips. And so that might be the formula this year. Our defense might play a little more than offense, which could result in a couple more first downs and maybe a couple more scores than we're used to. But in the end, the goal is to win, and we've given ourselves that opportunity, every week, and we just didn't take advantage of it one time. And so they're getting better all the time. We have some guys over there that are newer, that haven't played as much football, and they're only getting better every week as they get exposed to playing more. And so it's been I'm super proud of those guys. They've done a fantastic job, and some of it is it can feel like at the end of a game where it's frustration, where guys are getting first downs running the ball, but it's like, hey, if we're up by 20 and they're running the ball, that's okay because the clock is just melting away. And so some of it is having the maturity enough to understand that, and it's hard for me even as a coach and Coach Kemp, like, man, what's going on? But that's kind of where we're at. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see how they respond. Maybe potentially throwing some different packages at Southwestern, just like they're doing for us, right? There's no secret, right? Maybe we give them some different fronts, some different packages than they would have seen on film, and see if they're able to adjust. And so we have a plan to make it hopefully as confusing for them as possible as far as different types of fronts that they have not seen on film yet. So that'll be fun to see how that goes.
Head football coach at Friends University, Terry Harrison, here on the Friends Football Coaches Show on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. Southwestern and Friends coming up on Saturday at 1 o'clock from Adair Austin Stadium in Wichita. So we talked about the offense, talked about the defense, all that wonderful stuff. You brought up recruiting. Obviously, you don't have to go too deep into it, but you're like, come on, I can. I'm ready to rock and roll. Well, of course, it's what you love to do. Because if anyone sees you after the game, I think I'm like, gosh, how do you not commit to Friends University? Every time Coach Terry Harris is talking to someone, I feel like the energy is just elevated. You already got plenty of energy. So recruiting-wise, I know right now you got different periods of the different type of guys that you're certainly looking out for, that's for sure. But to have that bye week, boy, it's probably just a lot of phone time more so than anything else, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Just in touching base where you're at, all that good stuff, reminding kids why Friends is such a great place to play. The reality is if we can, it's energizing for me because we know if you get on campus and you visit Friends, we love kids to visit everywhere in the conference because if you go everywhere else and then you come and visit Friends, you're going to come to Friends. Like, we know that. And so the cool part is we know as a recruiter, individually as a coach, man, if we just tell them about Friends, it's a funny part. It's not selling. It's just educate them about Friends. If they come and meet our professors, if they come and just meet people on campus and they get the feel and the energy on campus, on top of all the other things we have to offer, it's recruiting's easy, as funny as that sounds. And so that's been very fun. And so using the bye week to just, reevaluate where we're at in recruiting with all the commitments that we have. We're at a record-setting pace. We're further ahead than we've ever been as far as commitments by this time. So kids are going to be Falcons next year, and then able to really be picky. We don't have a large number of recruits. It's not, there's two different ways to do it. You can either recruit 1,000 kids and know that is going to filter down to the however many you bring in, or being in Wichita. And we recruit nationally for sure, but, being in Wichita in this area that has so many great high school football programs, targeting those schools, and having maybe a smaller net and then really working hard to recruit those guys. And that's what we've done, and it's been unbelievable how well it's paid off. And you can kind of see, like, it's the balance. I think I mentioned it before, like enjoying what we're doing right now and being so proud of what we're doing. And then when you get those little recruiting wins after games like we've talked about, to see what this will be, not even could be, what it will be in 2 and 3 and 4 years ahead. It's energizing as a coach, and I think it gives you good balance on, keeping the main thing and prioritizing team culture, because these young men that are committing to Friends University is for the team culture and for what Friends University as a whole has to offer, man, to keep the standards very high in recruiting. And we've been able to do that, and it's been, man, just exciting. And like you mentioned, you don't do a list of names necessarily, but I know a lot of those parents watch this, but that's the cool part. Now, everything we do, as you get commitments to our program, they're paying attention to this show and they're seeing what we're building. They're paying attention to our online presence, and they're able to keep updated on the games, and they're coming to multiple games, and it just makes for, man, just a lot of excitement. I think you can see it and feel it, and it's like I said, recruiting. It's the lifeblood of this thing. Is what it is. We want to recruit and retain the best players that we can, and so that's been very fun and going. I mean, like I said, as far as where we've been as a staff, tracking the years, we're further ahead than we've ever been.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't think too many recruits are coming just because they're listening to me. I think more so than anything else, they're like, all right, just stay far away from that guy as possible. Just listen to Coach Harrison. But I appreciate the tidbit, though. I'm glad that people do watch this. Certainly, it's a wonderful thing. That's why we do this. That's the whole idea. So coming out of the chute, you're taking on number 6 Southwestern. I know you're not looking ahead, but Evangel is 6-0 and in the top 15 in the country. You've always talked about opportunities all throughout this year. It's an opportunity for us to do this, an opportunity to, we're down. We fumbled the ball away a couple times. It's an opportunity for us to bounce back and see what we can do.
Yeah.
How big of an opportunity is this to have 2 top 15s two top 15 teams, one at home, one on the road, back-to-back, coming out of the chute to open up divisional play.
Yeah, huge milestones for our program. I know we haven't had as a program a top 10 win, much less a number 6. So that's such a big-time opportunity at home against a quality team. So that'll be awesome against Southwestern. Looking to Evangel, never played them before that I'm aware. We're going to get to go play those guys on the road. So just awesome and very cool. And we get to play, they're the top 2 teams in our division. It's just what it is. They're number 6 and they're number 15. They're the best 2 teams in our division. Let's put it that way as far as on paper. So that's very cool. So then follow up that Bethel's been in the top 25 this year. We play them at Bethel. So they've been in the top 25. We lost to those guys last year. We lost to Southwestern last year. We play McPherson, who's currently 5-1. Now, obviously, by that time, everybody's records will be very different. But we lost a heartbreaker to them on a last-second field goal last year. And then we finish up with Bethany, and the McPherson game will be at Riverfront. So, man, just this stretch of football, and for me, will be likely the most fun, competitive, chaotic, 5-game stretch that I've, likely been a part of. And so the cool part is, if we take care of business and if we're able to rise to the occasion and win this thing out, we know we're going to the playoffs. If the other argument would be, if you look at this on paper, there's a good argument to say, hey, the winner of this division could be 4-1 or 3-2 and go to the playoffs. I mean, I feel like, in my opinion, and again, who knows, because Bethany has a couple wins now, so Bethany is rising a little bit as a program. It really will be every Saturday. My guess will be who knows? There could be some 50-0 games, but it doesn't look like it on paper. It looks like these are going to be all very competitive games. You're never out of the fight. If you do happen to drop a divisional game, can you bounce back from it? And, I mean, it's I don't know. It's cool. So you can't look at it as hey, we have to beat Southwestern to go. We have to beat Evangel to go. It's who has the best 5-game stretch, which is cool. That's kind of how we look at games anyway, right? Or me anyway. I always look at it as over a 5-game stretch, play the best possible football you can, and the wins and losses kind of shake out as you deserve it. And so it's very cool and awesome. And what you just mentioned, the milestones for top 20 wins, first wins against schools, Evangel. I don't know. It's very cool, very exciting. I know people are very pumped. I mean, our last home game, it was the most we've seen. I mentioned, I'm assuming it'll be a lot like that. I do know we're bringing back the 2008 championship team to be at this home game. We have a local high school visiting. Their entire team is coming to watch us play. We're kind of friends. So it's going to be, I don't know. It's going to be exciting and very cool for everybody to be a part of.
Yeah, for sure. You bring up Evangel. I was just out of the blue. I was like, let me go with my trusty laptop here. Friends actually played Evangel back in 2012, and then before then, 1981 and 1980.
Wow.
So I'm glad you brought that up. I was like, I don't have that information right in front of me, but here, let me just do this while you're talking. I'm really curious if Friends has played Evangel. Now I find out that that's the case. So Southwestern, we've already talked about the Mound Builders just briefly. You don't have to worry about, I guess, 3 to 4 different guys at quarterback. The last couple years, I think that's been the most impressive thing about Southwestern is the elevation of quarterback play. Brad Cagle was such an important piece to kind of get them jump started. And then you throw out a Thomas Yam that goes in there, and you're like, these guys are just throwing quarterbacks in there. They have immediate success, which goes to show you what Brad Griffin and Southwestern can do offensively. Now, rushing-wise, things are a little bit different. I'm still getting used to not seeing Keyshawn Wyatt out there on the football field because that dude was out there for many years. Do have a Wichita kid at quarterback and Braden Howe, who played at Carroll. Wide receiver-wise, you still have Andre Jones and Zion Kenner. Josh Edson being a former Newton guy. I'll never forget when I saw him in high school. I'm like, man, I was at Kansas West. I'm like, you guys need to get this cat because this cat's really good. And I'm sure you're like, this cat's really good. I want him too.
Yeah, he was in Newton. Yeah, where Bethel is.
See, there you go. Yeah, and then you throw out their top tackler, who's a Northwest Grizzly, and Josh Carter, who has, ever since stepping on the scene at Southwestern, he has had instant success. Now, that could be also a systematic thing too, because I feel like Southwestern always has really good linebackers. They've always had a good string of them. So Southwestern has always been a program with talent. It was just kind of like who's going to get them finally over the hump. Brad Cagle was that guy, and now they have seen nothing but success. So your thoughts on Southwestern?
Yeah, like you mentioned, a lot of good players. I mean, I coached against Braden Howland in high school. So some of the Carters. There's a bunch of Carters in Wichita. I actually know his brother as well, his older brother Nathan. But anyway, our younger brother, excuse me. But yeah, we know those guys and. Good players for sure. I do think defensively they've been very good in the conference. They played really. They've done very good the first half of play. So it's an interesting matchup because the strength is their defense, and that'll be an awesome challenge. And then offensively, like you mentioned, those talented receivers, it is a little different feel than maybe what they've had in the past with Keyshawn Wyatt, that we've all played against so long. And so it'll be. Man, I anticipate a very, very good competitive football game. Their offensive line does a fantastic job, good players. And so, yeah, it'll be a huge test for our program. And if we can have a great week, we feel very confident about our team. I mean, we're 18 yards away from being, ranked and this being the game of the week in the country. And so, I mean, that's okay. It's just we're a pretty confident group, and our kids, I'd take them against anybody at this point, in the country. And so it'll be, man, very, very fun challenge for our guys. If we'll be able to rise up to that, for sure. Love their receivers against our DBs. We're very confident in our DBs, so that'll be a great matchup. And then, our ability to try to do our best to make that quarterback feel uncomfortable is kind of the goal. I mean, it's the goal every week, so that's no surprise. But that'll be an awesome test, and that watching that play out in that chess match over the course of a game will be, man, it'd be a ton of fun. And my guess, hopefully win by 90. I don't know, but you'll likely come down to the fourth quarter and see who handles that situation better.
Yeah, it'll be very intriguing for sure. Looking forward to it coming up this Saturday at Adair Austin Stadium. Coach, thank you so much for their time. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Terry Harrison, head football coach at Friends University, here on the Friends Football Coaches Show on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. Friends University and Southwestern. Southwestern, number 6 in the country. Brad Griffin's club comes up from Winfield on Saturday to make the trek to Wichita to battle the Friends Falcons. 5-1 versus an undefeated 6-0 Southwestern team. Should be a great battle. Hope you can come out and watch it. 1 o'clock kickoff from Adair Austin Stadium this Saturday. And if you can't come, you can always watch it online on the KCAC network. And, I've been told that we're going to be on TV, I guess, coming up on Saturday too, which that's going to be a unique thing with Your View and Cox 22. So there's some exciting stuff, to say the least, when it comes to Friends University athletics. Hope you can join us on Saturday in person. But if you can't, then, well, you can always watch it online. We appreciate all the support from Walk-On Sports Bistreaux. We're finally back out here after a bye week last week. Always come out to Walk-On Sports Bistreaux when there's a big sporting event, if it's the NFL, if it's college football, Major League Baseball playoffs. This is the place to be because they have TVs all over the place. And, of course, the food is pretty darn good as well. A game day atmosphere with a southern twist at Walk-On Sports Bistreaux right off Maze Road here in Wichita. We appreciate their support, and it's a place you can come out and watch the Friends Football Coaches Show every Monday at 5 o'clock is when we record. So if you want to come out here, feel free to do so. Get yourself some good food as Coach Terry Harrison and I recap the week. For Coach Terry Harrison, I'm Pat Strathman saying so long from Walk-On Sports Bistreaux. Thanks so much for watching the Friends Football Coaches Show on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM.